Before I jump into what we're going to see today, I want to take a quick look back at kind of where we were last year. It was a big year for us. Somerset was kind of the center point of the update last year. It focused heavily on the Altmer, the Psijic Order, and kind of their culture. And it was a brand new space that has never really been seen before in Elder Scrolls. And it was very, very different than anything we've done before, which was really exciting for us. That wasn't the only thing we did. As you all know, we do 4 major content updates every year. We've been doing this for every year. Last year was no different. So we had 2 dungeon DLCs in Dragonbones and Wolfhunter. And we also went to Murkmire to explore the Argonians and their culture. So it was a big year. It was a disparate year in terms of a bunch of different stories that we were telling, and that actually kind of leads into some of the ideas behind why we decided to tell a story over the course of a year. Not only did we have lots of content that we delivered, we also went to various shows and talked to a lot of different players in our fan base. And this is something that's really special for us. It's something we enjoy a lot because our community is the reason we get to do the things we get to do. Without the community, we couldn't do any of that. So it's always fun to go and chat with people and just talk about the thing we all love, which is Elder Scrolls Online. This is why everybody's here, of course, is Elsweyr. This is our next chapter. It is for all players, not just veteran players. So that's the thing that really differentiates Elder Scrolls Online from other games is the game keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but everything is viable all the time. You can play with anybody regardless of your level or alliance choice. You can go anywhere and explore any way you want to. You're not tied down into a specific play pattern, which is really, really special for ESO. This year is also a little bit different in that we are telling a year-long story, and I touched on that a little bit. The entirety of the year is focused on dragons in Elsweyr with Necromancers. And it's really exciting because the story is so big. This is the map of Tamriel. Most of you know what this looks like. This is what the game looked like at launch. So the red circles are base game. Then over the years, we've added DLC, slowly filling up the world. Then we added in 2 chapters in Morrowind and Somerset. And Elsweyr is down here in that area. So the year of is in this area. Dragons are a very, very special thing in Elder Scrolls. They're one of the most unique and iconic creatures in the game. We finally get to have them in Elder Scrolls Online, and we're really excited about it. This is something that we worked very closely with BGS on, Bethesda Game Studios, to make sure that how we were portraying dragons actually fit within the timeline as well. They're big, they're badass, they're powerful creatures, and your experience in ESO is going to be very different than in Skyrim. You are not the Dovahkiin. You don't have the tool set and the powers and the shouts that you did in Skyrim. So dragons are going to be a lot tougher. And you're going to find that when you go in there, you're going to have to think about your fights a little bit more and look at where you're positioning in the world. It's going to be really exciting. On dragons, they are going to be, I don't want to say everywhere, but they're going to be front and center in your adventures. They're in the main story, they're in the tutorial, they will be in the overland zones. We have what we're calling dragon encounters in the overland, so think Dark Anchors, think Abyssal Geysers, but more dynamic. There's not really one place that a dragon is going to spawn. They'll spawn in the world, they'll fly around. When a dragon event is active, it'll show up on your map, so you can follow the map and figure out where the dragon is and where the dragon is flying to. It's just that little extra touch, that added effort in order to make them feel a little bit different. Dragons are also front and center in the trial. So the new 12-player trial, which I'll talk about in a minute, is all dragons all the time. Elsweyr is the home of the Khajiit. They are one of the oldest races, if not the oldest race in Tamriel. They predate the elves. and this is their homeland. You're going to get to see and experience Khajiit culture in a different way. They focus a lot on the moons and the aspects of the moons, and you're going to get to see things that you haven't really experienced before, like the different types of Khajiit. We have the Elfiq and we have the Centrat that you get to interact with and learn more about. It's a very cool vibe, and very interesting feeling when you're in there and you're exploring the world. And you get to see some kind of in-progress shots here, and some concept images that you can kind of get the feel that we're going for. The Khajiit culture is heavily influenced by Indonesian, Thai, and Indian cultures, and so you're going to see a lot of that as you're exploring. The story up to this point, in as spoiler-free way as I can say, essentially before the player arrives in Elsweyr, Euryxia Tharn and her Imperial army has taken over and has conquered northern Elsweyr. They've been there for a while, and the Khajiit have been fighting back, but they're not making any progress. And a lot of the reason they're not making progress is Euryxia Tharn has Necromancers in her army, and so that's reinforcing their ranks. There is also a dragon threat that has been unleashed on Tamriel. If you pay attention to the trailer or you do the teaser quest, you'll know exactly why and how. But it's going to be up to the player to figure out, how they are linked, if they are linked, and then how to put a stop to it. And along the way, you're going to get to learn a lot more about some very interesting characters that we have. Abner Tharn is on the left. He is a character from the base game, from the main story. He's voiced by Alfred Molina, so he's come back. He's done a fantastic job, and he is one of the center points in the story. In addition, the fine-looking chap on the right, that's Sir Cadwell, and he plays a very large role in the main story, and you actually get to learn a lot more about who he was before he became soul-shriven and how he's messed up in all of this. We also have Kuvira, who was the female Khajiit in the trailer. She's already become a fan favorite, which is very interesting. And you're going to learn a lot more about her and how she plays a role in this as well. And of course, this wouldn't be a Khajiit-themed update if we didn't have Razumdar, so he's going to make a cameo as well. So lots of really cool characters, lots of interesting stories. I think this is one of our strongest stories yet. Necromancer is another big thing that a lot of people are, he's over here like, yeah, Necromancer, I want to play. This is something that players have been asking for since beta. We want the Necromancer, and Necromancy is a big part of the lore in Tamriel. And at a high level, our goals for the Necromancer were to make it and deliver a faithful experience to the themes and the lore of Elder Scrolls. Necromancy is outlawed in Tamriel, so we want to make it feel like it's outlawed in our game, and you're going to have to, well, if you do anything overtly necromantic in the world in front of other NPCs, the guards are going to get called on you, and you're going to have to defend yourself, which is, a very cool feel, and it hits that established kind of theme and lore. Necromancy is a mix of illusion, destruction, and conjuration magics. And they focus mainly on the manipulation and reanimation of mortal souls. So they are not Daedra files, they don't deal with the Daedra at all, it's purely human souls. Over the course of development of the game in general, but of the class, we took a lot of the life lessons learned from building the Warden, from building some of the other classes. And we've been able to make this class feel different. It's not just a mage with undead pets. It's not a dragon knight with undead themed abilities. It's its own unique playstyle and feel. And you're going to notice that when you go in and you play it a little bit later on. The pets are more fire and forget. You summon a skeletal healer and it goes off and does its thing and heals without any input from you. And you can continue doing your thing. Same thing, with the skeletal bomber. You summon it on a target and it charges the target and blows up. You're not managing and micromanaging your pets. You're also not micromanaging a lot of your buffs as well. There was some feedback we got with the Warden where it felt like it was almost a chore. You had to keep all of these buffs and whatnot up. You just get to play the Necromancer. That being said, there are some gameplay elements that we want to reinforce with the Necromancer. Corpse gameplay is a big part of it. Knowing your surroundings, understanding your world space is a big thing. Positional gameplay is a big part of this. So the Necromancer has corpse creators, if you will, and corpse spenders. And if you cast a corpse spender on a corpse, it will actually power that ability up. So it's this really interesting kind of dynamic where you're fighting a monster, you're also paying attention to the world, and you're looking for that next corpse to line up your next, big boom, if you will. Take some of those notes, and when you go in and play, see if you feel the same way that, I've kind of described it, because that was one of our big goals. Sunspire. This is our new 12-player trial. This is something that I think our veteran players are going to really enjoy. It is a full trial. And by full trial, I mean very similar to some of our older trials. It has base pop, bannermen, bosses. It is a full trial. It's not what some of our players would call mini trials, which is just bosses. It's dragon themed, dragon focus. You're fighting dragons all the time in here, which is really cool. All of the fights are unique, and the twist with this trial is all of the bosses have their own unique hard mode. So in previous trials, it was only the last boss, and we've now put it on all the bosses. So there's lots more to learn, lots more different ways to kind of deal with these fights, and our veteran group is going to be really excited about this. The other new thing we are doing with this trial is, for the first time ever, players can earn a mode in here. Now they have to do all the hard modes, they have to do all the achievements, but there's something other than just gear for players to chase, which is a big thing that our veteran group has asked for. Elsweyr just isn't new content. There's a whole bunch of other really cool things coming. We try to do something for everybody in these updates. So Guild Finder is a big new system that we're putting in place. This is going to, help strengthen the communities overall. What the tool is designed to do is to allow guilds to advertise that they're recruiting, all within game. They can set up various tags so that players know that this is a trade guild, or a PvE guild, or a roleplay guild, or whatnot. And then players can go in and search through the Guild Finder to find a guild that matches their criteria. They can apply right away, the guild can accept, and you can do it all in-game rather than having to do it out of game right now, which is what players have to do. We are also doing some quality of life things for PvP. So the artifact system is going to introduce a lot of new chaos to Cyrodiil. When an artifact spawns in the world, it'll be a mini event, and players are going to flock to this weapon, because if you get it, you essentially turn into a juggernaut. And you run around and you can solo siege keeps, you can smash through walls, you can kill other players, you get really, really powerful with this weapon. But there's a trade-off for the power. You have to constantly feed this weapon, and you feed it by killing other players. And if you don't kill enough players fast enough, the weapon will actually kill you. So a lot of risk versus reward in there. These events won't happen all the time. They won't be up all the time. They're going to be up enough to introduce chaos, and then go away for a while to let things normalize again. We've also removed guest campaigns. This is a bit of feedback that we've had and heard a lot over the years of, I just want to go play with a friend, and I can't because I'm either on cooldown or whatnot. So we're removing that concept, and you can go to any campaign you want now. We still have a home campaign, and that's how you progress through the leaderboard and work towards emperorship. But you can just go and play now, which makes quality of life that much better. We've made some changes to Emperor so that you can no longer get multiple Emperors in the same campaign, and you also, if you earn Emperor on a particular alliance, you can't earn it again on another alliance for the duration of that campaign. So lots of things like that. That's also where alliance locked campaigns came from as well. This is something players have asked for. So when you go into a new campaign that has this rule set enabled, you can choose an alliance, and then you're only that alliance for the duration of that campaign. Alt character unlocks is another feature that is geared towards our veteran players. This is something that players have asked for a lot, which is I want to play a new class or a new character or something along those lines. But I don't want to really have to go through the grinding of getting all my skill points and unlocking abilities and yada, yada, yada. So what we're going to do as an initial test is with Sky Shards. If you've earned an achievement for Sky Shards, either a zone achievement or whatnot, when you log on your alternate character, you'll be able to essentially buy that achievement and unlock those skill points on that character. So little quality of life. It's not paying for power because you had to have done it at least once before. But if you choose, you can kind of skip that time commitment and just get on it right away. We're testing with Sky Shards for now, and then we'll look at building out that system later on. There's a lot of stuff in this chapter. It's Elsweyr. There's 30 plus hours of new content. It's dragons. It's Necromancer. There's public dungeons and delves. All the things you can from previous chapters. There's also a new 12-player trial, a new tutorial, new music. The tutorial especially is something that we've worked really hard on, and we always try to improve every time we do it. I highly suggest you all play through the tutorial first before you go into making new characters with templates and trying out the Necromancer and whatnot, just to see the changes we made. We changed a lot about the combat tutorial itself to try to teach you more of the important things like blocking and interrupting and whatnot, because we get that feedback constantly from players that I don't understand how this works. Of course, tons of new achievements, quality of life, bug fixes, things like that. So back there, we have everything ready to go. Before we send everybody back there, I have a couple of caveats though. This is very much still a work in progress. We are not done yet. So you're going to see some wonky things. You're going to see floating trees. You're going to see some weird textures, bad animations. Everything is work in progress. You're going to hear RoboVO. Some of you have experienced that before, either on PTS or at previous events. Just know we are recording that stuff now. There will be real voices soon. And then dragons are still very much a work in progress.